What's going on, guys? I have been wanting to make this video for a while now, and I've been putting it off because I know it's not going to be an easy one to make. It's not going to be an easy video to get through. This is already my second time trying to film it this morning, and see if we can get through it this time. I get asked a lot about why we moved from Nashville down to the beach, why we moved to Orange Beach, what brought us here, did we have jobs, whatever. And I always just give the simple answer of we just wanted to live at the beach, and that is the truth. I mean, we wanted to live at the beach. There's a whole lot more that goes into what got us here, and I don't usually want to get in that conversation because it's a tough one, it's a long one. And so I just wanted to explain for those of you that don't know. I've never talked about this publicly. That there's some stuff on my Facebook from a few years back, and so some of you may know what I'm about to get into. But I just want to start off by saying, like, when me and Courtney first started dating, anytime we'd go to the beach, we'd always be there and be like, man, it would be awesome to live here. Like, let's move to the beach one day. And like, never really thinking that would actually ever be a possibility, or that we would ever have the courage to do it. I think that's just something that a lot of people say when they're on vacation. Like, it'd be awesome to live here, because it is. I mean, it's an awesome place. I'm sitting out here in November on the jetties, and it's like perfect. It's beautiful. There's a lot to enjoy about living here, but in May, we'll just go ahead and jump right into this. In May of 2018, I don't know why this is still so hard to talk about. In May of 2018, Courtney woke me up and she smelled smoke, and in our bedroom you could just see like a layer of smoke on the ceiling. And honestly, at the time, like, I didn't think a whole lot about it. I thought maybe I left the oven on or something, and maybe at most the oven was on fire. I really just, at that moment, I mean, I literally just woke up, but I was just thinking something very minor, and like I said, maybe the oven or something. We were living in basically like a duplex. We lived downstairs, my parents lived upstairs. So I ran upstairs, woke up my dad, and like thinking that he was gonna come down, we were gonna put out some little fire in the kitchen or whatever, find a little fire extinguisher. And I came back downstairs and walked into our living room. There's gonna end up being a lot more cuts than I wanted there to be in this video, only because it's emotional. But I walked into the living room, and the entire living room was in flames, just completely engulfed. And obviously knew that we had a bigger issue. We had Kelton, who was almost one. No, he was one. Kelton was one, and Courtney was pregnant with Knox. I told her to go grab Kelton, go out the garage, and get outside. I tried to get our dog, and he thought he was in trouble and ran and got in his kennel. I was able to get him out. Our garage was at the back, so we ran out the back up to the front of the house. My mom had already called 911, and all this happened extremely quickly. We all got out. My parents got out, my sister got out. My dad was in the house trying to find his work laptop, and I'm standing in the front door like screaming, get out of the freaking house now, don't worry about your work laptop. And so everybody gets out. We're standing in front of the house, 6 a.m. I'm literally in just my underwear, and the entire house at this point, like roof, everything is just completely engulfed. Like, had Courtney not woken up when she did, I don't know if we would have had 5 minutes, 10 minutes, I don't know how long, but it wouldn't have been long, and probably none of us would have gotten out. So she definitely saved all our lives, smelling that smoke and waking us up. That's one good thing about being pregnant and having a sensitive nose, I guess. She was able to smell that and got us all out. So at this point, we're standing outside. Our neighbor across the street had came out. They had called 911 as well. Her husband gave me some clothes and some shoes, and we're basically standing in her front yard watching the house burn down. By the time the fire department got there, the town we lived in just had a volunteer fire department. By the time they got there, like, it was definitely too late. They hooked up to one fire hydrant and didn't even have any water pressure. Had to hook up another one and run hoses like way down the road. So by the time they actually got water going, the house was done for. They were really trying to protect the two neighbors' houses. They were spraying down the neighbors. Like, it was melting all the siding on our two neighbors' houses. So they were just spraying them down. Obviously still trying to spray our house, but they were focusing on the sides and protecting the neighbors' houses at that point. The news ended up having a helicopter there, so it was all on the news. I had a tile business, and my van was in the driveway, which had my business name and everything all over it, and that got a little airtime, so I had a little free advertisement, I guess. But it was a crazy experience, because like, we lived in a small town, and like, I grew up there, my dad grew up there, and so kind of everybody knew my family. And seeing the amount of people that showed up, like, it literally instantly, was crazy. There was another guy in my town that also had a tile business. I didn't know him very well, but we were, I guess, competitors, and he had seen it on the news. I'd never even met this guy before, and he showed up while we're all standing there, fire department, everything there, and he gave me a hug and handed me a $500 gift card, which at that moment really meant a lot. That one of my competitors would show up and support us at that time. This is tough. The next, like, couple hours is a little blurry. A lot of people showed up, a lot of tears, a lot of hugs. Luckily, we already had a doctor's appointment that was already scheduled for that day, to check on Knox, the baby. Courtney was pregnant. So we borrowed a car and went to the doctor's appointment. You know, like, I don't know what time the fire started or how long the smoke was in the house, and obviously breathing in smoke isn't good for anybody, but especially not a pregnant mother. So we went to the doctor appointment. They checked out everything was good, and our phones were still in the house. The phones got burned, so we had to go figure out phones. People gave us phones to use. Courtney's car, she had actually gotten a wreck like a week or two before. Somebody T-boned her. Nothing serious, but so her car was in the shop, so she had a rental car. She had a little Jeep, and it was parked under the back deck, and the Jeep actually blew up. It blew the doors off of the Jeep, completely melted the Jeep. I'm gonna try to post like some pictures, and if I have any video, just some of the stuff so y'all can kind of see see what was going on. But after this, we ended up going and staying with my father-in-law, and my parents. Some people had a rental house that they let them stay in, and so over the next, I don't even know how long, but really the next like 2 days, it was all day, every day, people showing up, giving us money, food, clothes. I mean, the amount of people that showed up to support us was, it was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. I would never have thought that many people would have cared, or would donate their own money and time, because we literally lost everything. I mean, the only thing that I have, aside from like some stuff that was in my car, like clothing wise, the only thing I have now that I had before the fire was the pair of underwear that I was wearing when we ran out the house. But so it got a ton of support, but through that time, not really having anything anymore, we ended up talking more about the beach, and we were like, if we're gonna do it, now's the time. Like, we don't have a whole lot to move. I honestly was already getting kind of frustrated with my job and the tile business, and was just ready for a change, and God gave it to us. He gave us a change, all right. It's tough. I kind of skipped over after the fire. They did the whole investigation trying to figure out what caused it. They never figured out. But a few days later, a week later, whenever it was, we were allowed to go back to the house and start digging through stuff. And my wife, Courtney, being pregnant, she didn't have her wedding rings on. They weren't fitting at the time, and so she lost her wedding rings and some other rings, and of course my parents had all their stuff. And so we just started digging through ashes. We had friends and family show up, and we made sifters and spent literally 2 days digging through ashes trying to find anything that we could possibly keep. We never found her wedding rings, but we found some other rings. I'll post a little before and after picture here. These were rings that I gave her. I think one of them I just gave her when we were dating. The other one I gave her when we had Kelton, and Jared was able to get them cleaned up. We ended up finding her wedding dress, like pieces of it, obviously. Found some other just like random stuff. A lot of the stuff was just completely burned up, and the smell of smoke is just as bad as ruining stuff, like any kind of clothing or anything like that. We did have a file cabinet that, like, the heat of it, the stuff inside did not completely burn, but the heat like scorched the edges of stuff. So we still have our marriage certificate, and it's like burnt around the edges, but you can see everything. Kelton's birth certificate, the paper with his footprints with burns on them. Crazy. But it's good to have a few of those things that were really important to us that we can still hold on to, and having the burns on them is actually kind of cool. Shows a little bit of our story, our past. But through all that, we decided to come down. I think so. That was in May. I think like July, we came down and started looking at places, looking for places to rent, looking just for property, just looking, trying to figure out. We didn't even know where we wanted to live. We just knew we wanted to go to the beach. And so we looked around Navarre, we looked in Pensacola, we ended up looking in Gulf Shores. We really liked the Gulf Shores area. So we found an apartment, and in November we came down here. We went and signed a lease, and I went on a guided fishing trip with Bama Beach Bum while we were here. And in January, we had a U-Haul with the things that we had bought and what stuff we had now, and we drove down here. And Courtney actually was, I drove the U-Haul. Courtney was in the car with Kelton, and we had Knox at this point. Knox was like 3 months old, and Courtney drove down and beat me here, and she got to the apartment and got the keys and went inside, and it was nasty. The whole people smoked. They smoked in the apartment. We just got done dealing with the house fire. The last thing we want to do is smell smoke in where we're living. She said it was like nasty. So on my way down here, I start calling other apartments, trying to find somebody that had something open. Ended up finding one, and I never even went to the other apartment. I just stopped at the second one I found, went in, applied, got approved, moved into a different place like that afternoon. Like, God definitely helped us out there, because the one we had signed a lease on was a 2-bedroom, and we were just gonna make it work. And the other one had a 3-bedroom. It was a little bit more money, but we ended up going with the 3-bedroom. And after we got in there with 2 kids and some stuff, like, 2-bedroom would have been tight. So God helped us out there again. And then we ended up, I won't get through the whole story of what I've done here, but ended up moving down here. I shut down my business. Courtney didn't have a job. We had very, very little bit of savings, bunch of credit card debt, and just moved here and made it happen, followed our dreams. Had it not been for the house fire, I don't know that we would have actually ever took the leap of faith in coming down here, and I'm really glad we did. And as much as that fire hurt, like, it hurt, like, we were waking up and having nightmares of like thinking we're smelling smoke, but had it not been for that, I wouldn't be here. I would not be doing what I'm doing. We wouldn't be living our dream here at the beach. I wouldn't be fishing every day for a living, and it's definitely been a blessing in disguise. And I definitely thank God for that. God works in mysterious ways, and He knows how to put us in the right spots at the right times. And yeah, it's crazy. Glad I was able to get through that without too many breaks. I had to make some cuts there. Some of those things are difficult to talk about, but I just wanted to share that with y'all and kind of let y'all in some of my past, what got us here, what led us to actually moving here, because again, I haven't really talked about that publicly. It was a tough little time, but we made it through, and here we are, and couldn't be happier about where we live and what we're able to do through that situation. So appreciate it. If y'all have made it this far in the video, I greatly appreciate it. Y'all are the reason that I'm able to do what I do, and I cannot thank y'all enough. Guys, I appreciate y'all sticking around and watching that video. And until next time, y'all take care.